I'm often too lazy to hook up the dust collector to the strip sander when I use it. So now I'm going to build a small, really low power dust collector just for this sander. And by small, I mean really small, just powered with a small shaded pole motor. And experimenting with it, I think an impeller of about this diameter should be okay, because it can still run that at a reasonable RPM. And idling, this motor uses 21 watts. If I block it's 34 watts, and with this it's 28 watts, so that should be good. The shaft on here is very short, unfortunately, so I'll press fit this flange onto it. So this is not as flat on as I was hoping. Much better. Now I need to make some fan blades for the fan. So it looks like that motor's not quite powerful enough to bring that up to speed. There's too much air resistance. But if I cut down on the flow just by stuffing some paper towel in here, then it does bring it full speed. So I just realized I'm running this thing backwards, so I have to reverse that shaded pole motor. There's no way to electrically reverse a shaded pole motor, but if you just flip the armature around, that will make it run in the opposite direction. Now before free spinning this wouldn't come up to speed, but now that it's going in the right direction, it just barely makes it up to full speed. Now I'm going to construct a spiral housing shape, and I'll do that on this piece of cardboard. So with the impeller in here, I want to spiral out from this inner diameter to this outer diameter. The air is going to exit here, and it's 4 centimeters wide, so I figure I'll make it about 3 centimeters at the 3/4 weight point, and 2 centimeters here, and 1 centimeter here, and then that gradually goes down to the inner diameter. So now I need to draw an arc that goes from here to here, and I'm going to set my compass to be in between the 2 radii that I want to have, and I want to end up here, and let's just score that, and I'm starting from here. So to get both of those, here's the line that I scored. I just draw this arc now, and that joins it fairly smoothly. And for the next segment, I reduce the radius a little bit, and let's do the same thing again. So I want to be somewhere around here, and I want to end up here, so just moving it vertically. There's my next segment. I'm not going to get too fancy with the case for this one. I'll just cut that out of a few scraps of 2x4. Now I need to mount the motor behind this hole, and I've already made some mounts for this. And I figure the easiest way to get this aligned is to attach it with just glue. I put a few clamps on there which will make the glue set a little bit faster. So I've been having a hard time getting this aligned just right, especially because I didn't drill the holes accurately enough. But I think I got it about right now. So the static section I'm getting out of this thing is about 5 centimeters. I wasn't quite happy with the level of vibrations, and just by trial and error I figured out 2 little copper counterweights on these 2 fins makes it run the quietest. Next I needed to make a box for this dust collector, and for that I used some really terrible quality plywood that came from an old shipping crate, but it was just about the right size for what I needed. For the other sides of the box I used some pieces of pine that came from some discarded furniture. I joined the box corners just using some rabbet joints cut on the table saw. This is going to be the box with a filter in it, and I'm using up some truly awful plywood that came from a shipping crate. And the problem with that is, for the lid, it's not going to seal if I just put it on flat. So instead, the lid is actually going to have some cleats on it like this, and that will force the plywood flat and cause for a better seal that way. But I need to fit these so they're very precisely against the edges of the box. And these 2 are already glued in, so I'll screw this one on from the bottom. I can now use those screws as locating pins for where to glue the cleat on. I cut apart a 4-inch to 3-inch pipe reducer to make for a hose flange. I added a ledge all around the back edge of the box to hold the filter off the back, plus these things here to prevent the plates from getting sucked into the hole. And just for good measure, I'm adding a second filter. Well, I think my other dust collector would have been able to suck all the dust out of this, but I think it's adequate for this sander. I added a little fan blade to the motor just to keep it from overheating. If the shaft hadn't stuck out this side, I could have just directed some of the outflow back at the motor for cooling. Ideally, this thing would be in a slightly deeper box and oriented in this direction when it's used so that the dust can fall away from the filter and there's more room for dust, but for my sander, as it is best. And I wished I'd used a slightly more powerful motor, like the motor, for instance, from this little fan here. That would have allowed me to make a larger impeller, which would have made for more suction.